Right now, someone in your life might be controlling your choices without you ever realizing it. It could be a partner who claims to love you, a boss who praises your dedication, or a close friend who always seems to have your best interests at heart. But beneath their words lies a quiet structure of psychological manipulation. Welcome to Mind Unmasked. Today, we are breaking down the 7 dark psychology tactics that people use to gain invisible leverage over your mind. These are not dramatic schemes from movies. They are silent, everyday techniques designed to bypass your logical defenses, erode your self-esteem, and make you surrender control willingly. Think about the last time you made a decision that felt wrong in your gut, yet you went along with it anyway. Did you actually agree, or were you skillfully guided toward that outcome? Dark psychology operates in the shadows of human consciousness. It feeds on your empathy, your desire for approval, and your fear of conflict. The people who use these tactics rarely wear a villain's mask. In fact, they often present themselves as your biggest supporter. By the time you finish listening, your perception of social interactions will permanently change. You will begin to spot the invisible threads pulling at your choices, and more importantly, you will learn how to cut them. Pay close attention to number 4, as it is the most common reason people stay trapped in toxic environments for years. Let us begin with the first and most destructive tactic: gaslighting and reality distortion. Gaslighting is not just lying. Anyone can tell a simple lie. Gaslighting is a calculated campaign to make you doubt your own memory, perception, and sanity. The manipulator's goal is simple: if you cannot trust your own mind, you will have to rely on theirs. It starts small with a casual comment dismissing your recollection of an event. Over time, these small seeds of doubt grow into full-scale self-distrust. When a gaslighter distorts reality, they create a psychological dependency. You begin to double-check your memories. You apologize for things you did not do wrong. You second-guess your intuition. The manipulator assumes the role of the ultimate truth-teller. They position themselves as the calm, rational adult in the room, while framing your emotional response as irrational or unstable. Notice the subtle shift in power here. Instead of debating the actual issue, the conversation suddenly becomes about your emotional state or your faulty memory. You find yourself defending your sanity rather than addressing their harmful behavior. This is a classic misdirection technique. A skilled gaslighter will use phrases like, "You are being overly sensitive," or "I was just joking, why do you take everything so seriously?" By trivializing your feelings, they force you into a corner where expressing discomfort makes you look unreasonable. The long-term effect of gaslighting is devastating. It destroys your internal compass. You stop trusting your instincts, and you begin to look to the manipulator for validation and truth. To break free from gaslighting, you must realize one fundamental rule: you do not need someone else's permission to trust your own reality. Document facts, hold on to your internal certainty, and refuse to debate what you know to be true. Now, let us transition into the second tactic, which is often used in combination with gaslighting to build intense emotional addiction: the love bombing and devaluation cycle. Human beings are wired for connection and validation. Dark manipulators understand this neurobiology intimately, and they exploit it through a process known as intermittent reinforcement. Love bombing is the aggressive overload of affection, praise, and attention at the beginning of a relationship or partnership. It feels overwhelming and deeply validating. During the love bombing phase, the manipulator floods your brain with dopamine. They mirror your values, agree with your opinions, and make you feel like you have found your ultimate ally. But this phase is not about genuine affection, it is an investment. They are setting the anchor. They are building a high pedestal so that the eventual fall hurts even more. Once they know you are hooked, the second phase begins: devaluation. Suddenly, without warning, the warmth disappears. The constant texts stop. The compliments turn into subtle critiques. The affection is replaced by cold distance or sharp disapproval. Your brain, accustomed to high levels of validation, experiences a severe dopamine withdrawal. You feel anxious, confused, and desperate to get back to the initial warm phase. And here is where the trap snaps shut. Instead of leaving, you begin to work harder to please them. You change your behavior, walk on eggshells, and tolerate disrespect, all in hopes of unlocking that initial warmth once again. The manipulator gives you tiny crumbs of affection occasionally, just enough to keep you holding on. This creates an addictive psychological bond known as a trauma bond. The power dynamic in intermittent reinforcement is absolute. The manipulator becomes the sole provider of your emotional stability. They hold the key to your happiness, and they turn it on and off at will. To protect yourself from this cycle, you must look for consistency over intensity. Genuine respect is steady and predictable. Unreasonable intensity followed by sudden withdrawal is a red flag of emotional exploitation. This brings us to the third dark psychology tactic, one that targets your sense of morality and empathy, guilt tripping and victim reversal. Empathy is one of humanity's greatest virtues, but in the hands of a dark psychologist, your empathy becomes your greatest weakness. Guilt tripping is the art of making you feel morally responsible for someone else's actions, emotions, or failures. A master manipulator can commit a clear offense, yet somehow end the conversation with you apologizing to them. This phenomenon is often described by psychologists using the acronym DARVO: deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. When you confront a manipulator about something they did wrong, watch how quickly they shift the focus. First, they deny the behavior. Then, they attack your character or motives for bringing it up. Finally, they reverse the roles, claiming that they are the ones who are actually hurt or misunderstood. For example, if you express hurt because they missed an important event, they might respond with, "You have no idea how much stress I am under. I am working myself to the bone, and all you do is complain. You are so ungrateful." Notice what happened. The original issue, their broken commitment, is completely forgotten. Now, the issue is your alleged lack of empathy and gratitude. You end up comforting them, reassuring them, and putting your own valid feelings aside. Over time, this conditions you to suppress your needs. You learn that expressing dissatisfaction results in conflict and guilt, so you choose silence instead. The manipulator successfully establishes an environment where they are immune to accountability. To combat victim reversal, you must maintain laser focus on the original topic. Do not allow the conversation to drift onto your reaction or their emotional defense. Stick to the boundary you set, and remember that you are not responsible for managing an adult's emotional outbursts. Now let us explore tactic number 4, the isolation strategy. A person surrounded by a strong support system of friends and family is extremely difficult to manipulate. They have external reference points. If something feels toxic, they can discuss it with an objective outsider who will point out the red flags. Therefore, any master manipulator knows that to gain complete control over you, they must first isolate you from your network. The isolation strategy rarely starts with outright demands to stop seeing your loved ones. That would trigger immediate resistance. Instead, it is executed through gradual erosion. It begins with subtle criticism of your friends or family. "Don't you think your sister is a bit toxic?" Or, "Your friends don't truly appreciate you the way I do." Next comes the creation of artificial conflict. The manipulator might throw a quiet tantrum or become distant every time you plan to spend time away from them. This creates subconscious friction. You start feeling anxious before going out with friends, knowing there will be an emotional price to pay when you return home. Eventually, to avoid the drama, you start canceling plans. You slowly pull away from your social circle. Another subtle isolation tactic is driving wedges between you and your trusted advisors. They might misinterpret statements made by your friends, convincing you that people are talking behind your back or jealous of your success. Step by step, thread by thread, they cut your ties to the outside world. After several months, you look around and realize that the manipulator is the only person left in your inner circle. They have become your sole source of advice and emotional support. At this stage, their influence over you is near absolute, because you no longer have an external reality check. Recognizing isolation early is crucial. Never allow anyone to distance you from people who genuinely care about your well-being. Next, we move to tactic number 5, triangulation. Triangulation is a powerful social tactic designed to manufacture insecurity, jealousy, and competition. The core principle of triangulation is simple: bring a third party into a two-person dynamic to alter the balance of power. By introducing an artificial rival, the manipulator instantly increases their perceived value and makes you feel replaceable. This tactic is heavily utilized in romantic relationships, workplaces, and family dynamics. In a romantic setting, a manipulator might casually mention how an ex-partner used to treat them or draw subtle comparisons between you and an attractive coworker. Sarah always pays so much attention to detail, or my ex never complained about these things. In a professional setting, a toxic manager might play two employees against each other, dropping subtle hints that one is favored over the other. This creates a state of perpetual anxiety and competition. Instead of focusing on your value or questioning the manager's ethics, you become consumed with outperforming your colleague to regain the manager's favor. Why is triangulation so effective? Because it triggers a primal fear of rejection and social exclusion. When you see a third party being praised or elevated, your instinct is to step up, work harder, and seek validation. The manipulator sits back comfortably at the top of the triangle, holding all the control while two people compete for their attention. Notice that the third party often has no idea they are being used as a pawn in this game. The manipulator feeds different narratives to both sides, fostering paranoia and misunderstanding. To break free from triangulation, refuse to enter the manufactured competition. Recognize that true value does not need to be proven against a proxy rival. Step out of the triangle completely. Now, let us examine tactic number 6, sequential requests. Psychologists have long studied compliance techniques, how to get people to say yes when they naturally want to say no. Dark manipulators use these behavioral science principles to gradually expand what you are willing to tolerate. Two of the most effective methods are the foot in the door and the door in the face techniques. The foot in the door technique relies on the human psychological need for consistency. Once you agree to a small, seemingly harmless request, you are statistically far more likely to agree to a larger, more demanding request later. The manipulator starts small. They ask for a minor favor or a slight compromise of your boundary. Because it feels insignificant, you agree. However, each small agreement alters your internal self-concept. You now view yourself as someone who supports or agrees with this person. Slowly, over time, the requests grow larger and the boundary violations become more severe. Before you realize it, you are agreeing to terms that you would have vehemently rejected months prior. Conversely, the door-in-the-face technique works through extreme contrast and social concession. Here, the manipulator makes an outrageously large, unreasonable request first, something they know you will refuse. You say no. Immediately after your refusal, they pivot to their true target, a smaller, secondary request. Because of the psychological effect of contrast, the second request appears much more reasonable than it actually is. Furthermore, because the manipulator appears to have made a concession by lowering their demand, your brain feels a subconscious obligation to reciprocate by agreeing. You accept the second proposal, believing you want a compromise, when in reality, you gave the manipulator exactly what they wanted all along. To guard against compliance techniques, evaluate every request independently. Do not let past small concessions dictate present boundaries. This brings us to the final tactic: silent treatment and emotional withdrawal. Communication is the foundation of healthy human relationships. When conflict arises, mature individuals discuss issues to reach resolution. The silent treatment, however, is not a cooling-off period. It is a calculated weapon designed to punish, intimidate, and enforce compliance through emotional starvation. When a dark psychologist uses the silent treatment, they cut off all communication abruptly without explanation. They ignore your messages, walk past you as if you are invisible, and respond with cold, monosyllabic answers. They create a wall of total emotional exclusion. Brain imaging studies have revealed something fascinating about the silent treatment. Emotional rejection activates the exact same region of the brain as physical pain. To the human brain, being ignored by a social partner triggers a biological panic response rooted in our evolutionary survival instincts. Historically, being excluded from the tribe meant death. When subjected to the silent treatment, your anxiety spikes. You experience a desperate urge to fix the situation, even if you did nothing wrong. You find yourself apologizing profusely, lowering your standards, and abandoning your boundaries just to end the painful silence and restore normal communication. This is precisely what the manipulator wants. The silent treatment forces you to take responsibility for the conflict and trains you to avoid challenging them in the future. It instills a lingering fear that any disagreement could result in immediate emotional abandonment. It is vital to distinguish between a healthy need for space and the silent treatment. A healthy person states they need time to cool off. A manipulator simply shuts down, offers no timeline, and uses the vacuum of silence to break your resolve. Now that we have uncovered all 7 tactics, let us synthesize how these dark psychology mechanisms work together to form an invisible system of control. Rarely are these 7 tactics used in total isolation. In reality, a skilled manipulator combines them into a sophisticated web. Gaslighting erodes your judgment, love bombing builds your dependency, guilt-tripping prevents you from speaking up, isolation removes your support system, triangulation creates insecurity, sequential requests expand control, and the silent treatment punishes any attempt at rebellion. This interconnected system is what psychologists call emotional conditioning. It transforms a healthy, independent individual into someone who is constantly anxious and submissive. The most dangerous aspect of this matrix is how slowly it is constructed. Like the famous metaphor of the frog in boiling water, if the temperature is raised gradually, you do not notice the danger until it is nearly too late. Why do people use dark psychology? In most cases, it stems from a deep-seated need for control, low self-esteem, or personality traits within the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. These individuals view social interactions not as opportunities for mutual connection, but as zero-sum games where someone must dominate and someone must be subordinated. Understanding these mechanics is not meant to make you paranoid or cynical about human nature. Most people you meet are genuine and do not spend their days plotting psychological traps. However, being aware of these patterns provides you with emotional immunity. It grants you the ability to spot toxicity early, before deep emotional investments are made. Knowledge is your strongest armor. When you can name a tactic in real time, its power over you evaporates. When someone tries to gaslight you, and you internally identify it, you no longer waste energy questioning your sanity. You simply recognize that the other person is untrustworthy. In our final segment, we will lay out the precise steps you must take to build an unshakable psychological defense system. Building a psychological defense system requires 3 core principles: boundaries, external perspective, and emotional detachment. First, establish non-negotiable personal boundaries. Define clearly what behavior you will and will not tolerate. A boundary is not a rule for how other people must act. It is a declaration of what you will do if a boundary is crossed. If someone disrespects you or engages in silent treatment, your response should be calm distance, not desperate begging. Second, maintain an active support network. Never allow anyone to become your sole reference point for reality. Keep close ties with friends, family, or professional mentors who respect your autonomy and encourage your growth. When in doubt about a situation, run it by someone objective. Third, practice emotional detachment in high-pressure interactions. Manipulators thrive on your emotional reactions. If they can make you angry, anxious, or defensive, they have won the interaction. Learn the art of the gray rock method. Become as uninteresting, calm, and emotionally flat as a gray rock when dealing with toxic behavior. Offer neutral responses, state facts, and refuse to engage in emotional drama. Remember, you are in complete control of where you direct your energy, time, and attention. No one can manipulate you without your subconscious participation. Once you awaken to these dynamics, you take the power back into your own hands. If you found value in this deep dive into human behavior and dark psychology, make sure to hit the like button to help this video reach others who need it. Subscribe to Mind Unmasked for weekly analytical insights into social dynamics, human behavior, and mental mastery. Leave a comment below sharing which of these 7 tactics you have encountered most often in daily life, and how you handled it. Thank you for listening. Stay vigilant, stay clear-headed, and keep your mind unmasked. See you in the next video.